Alright troops, strong and conditioned, live from the burpee den. What's happening? What's happening? I'll tell you what's happening. When I took a brief hiatus there from training, I was obviously thinking about my channel and the direction that it's taken. And a thought occurred to me at some point that a lot of the routines I put out are quite advanced, and they're almost like a showcase for what I can do. And you're kind of hoping people can take inspiration from that and try their hardest. But there's been really little help for the beginners who want to get started on their burpee journey. And ultimately, they're probably the most important people that you should be focusing on. And that's something I intend to do from this point on or for an extended period of time. Because watching me do burpees can be quite boring, I find. And I see that in the stats, and I'm sure other burpee practitioners will see that in the stats as well when they watch their videos and how much of the actual video is being watched, and you'll tend to find that after a minute or two there's a big drop off. No one's watching full routines, they skip to the end to see what you've got to say, and that's fine. One or two people will watch the full routines and might follow along, but the majority of people are just watching the beginning, seeing you start your routine, and they're logging off. And I don't blame them. It can be quite boring watching people do burpees. It is what it is. Particularly the one take video style, which is static, and it's hard to hold people's attention. People's attention is held by fast edits, glossy images, great scenery, the whole shebang. And that's not what we burpee guys are all about. We are basic fitness, getting down and dirty and just showing what we can do. However, there is untapped potential in the people who really do need help, and that's the beginner. So at this point on, my channel will be primarily focused on helping the beginners achieve their burpee milestones. So first and foremost, we'll get into the burpee milestone mindset. Liken it to a martial arts grading system. You can get your burpees started, but you're going to have to achieve these milestones to know that you are mastering the exercise and your fitness level is matching that mastery. So what are the burpee milestones? In my opinion, the burpee milestones are as follows. The first burpee milestone that you should probably aim for is 100 burpees. The second burpee milestone should be 100 unbroken burpees. You then should be looking to hit the higher reps and hit the 300 mark, which will then take you to the 500 mark. Now, I believe that once you achieve 500 burpees, the game starts to open up. That's when the possibilities become more endless. Confidence builds up, your fitness base has been developed, and you can really start to go crazy with the high reps. After the 500 is what's called the holy grail, is the 1000 burpee mark. The 1000 burpee mark is a very intoxicating number when you get that 1000 burpee mark, and that's what a lot of people rush to get. Then you know you're in a good place. After the 1000, you then want to aim for the 500 Navy SEALs. 500 Navy SEALs is probably the hardest out of them all, and that's when you achieve black belt status in this community. Once you've achieved 500 Navy SEALs, then you can kind of just go down your own path and decide, where am I going to take this? And the premise that I plan to approach at this point is helping the viewer, or helping the guys who subscribe to my channel get to these milestones by offering a systematic approach to get there. Now, I do a lot of online coaching. I've got guys who I've got around the world who will come to me and they'll look for my guidance and for myself to write out programs to help achieve those burpee milestones. And I'm now going to offer the viewer those systems and those approaches to help them get to these numbers. So how do we go about this? First, we have to then compartmentalise the process, and we have to really just focus on the goal at hand. We're not focusing on 1,000 at this point. We're not focusing on 500 Navy SEALs. We are focusing on the first one, which is the big hurdle, which is 100 unbroken burpees. Now, I stated at the start of the video 100 burpees is probably a milestone, but I would like to go for 100 unbroken from the get-go, because I think that anybody can ultimately achieve 100 burpees. Even a beginner, all they require is some encouragement and the mental fortitude to get there. However, most people can do it. I've done it with people who don't even do burpees. I probably got a video or two, particularly one where I did with my brother who managed 100 burpees, having no burpee experience up until that point. The adrenaline carried them through the process. However, 100 unbroken would have been too much of a task, and it would be for most people. So how do we go about achieving 100 unbroken burpees? And it's very similar to what I did in the video that I uploaded last night, which is basically taking a set amount of burpees, performing them at your own pace, resting for a set amount of time, repeating the process, and breaking that down into sets, like you would say a bench press session or a squat session or any general weightlifting session. So the video that I put out last night was basically 5 sets of 20 burpees interspersed with a 30-second recovery period between sets. Now, that is the baseline that I would set for most people. However, that's my baseline. Some people may have to alter that and adapt it to their current fitness level. So if you have to do 10 sets of 10 burpees with 30 seconds recovery between sets, then go for it. As long as you've got that bare bones system in place, you can then tinker over the coming weeks and adhere to the system, but take a variable and alter it accordingly, namely the rest periods. That would probably be a good starting point. And it's a common sense approach. Basically, you take the rest periods and you shorten them down over time till the point where you are not resting at all. Your rest periods are lasting for 10 seconds and whatever. And over time, that will build up the fitness, the ability to recover quickly, but it will also develop that mental fortitude that's sometimes needed to enable you to reach these numbers. So how do we also go about that over the course of a block per se? If 10 sets of 10 becomes too easy, we can change that to 5 sets of 20. If 5 sets of 20 becomes too easy, we can change that to 4 sets of 25. If 4 sets of 25 is becoming too easy, we change that to 2 sets of 50. However, the recovery period is the thing that's going to determine how fast it gets you to achieving those 100 unbroken burpees. Now, what I would suggest is doing this over a 4-week block, and these are the 4 videos that I'm going to put out, and I'm going to show you 4 methods to get there. Now, the first method is the one we did last night, which is taking 5 sets of 20 and reducing the recovery periods in between. 30 seconds, next week 25 seconds, the week after 20 seconds, 15, then 10 seconds. Once you've hit the 10-second mark, you can either continue another block, but up the numbers that are included in the set. So you would change it to 25 or 50. I would probably go for 2 sets of 50. I think if you can do 2 sets of 50 with a relatively short recovery time between those sets, then at that point you're cooking on gas. So it's all very well getting into burpees and doing your 50, 100 every day until it becomes easy, but a more systematic approach will give you that confidence, and it will also allow you to have the data at hand to show that you're improving. Because the burpee game is not linear. There's days when you can go into a burpee sesh regardless of fitness level and you don't feel good at all. There's so many variables that take place: stress levels, recovery levels, what's been happening in your day, things like that. They can affect performance. But if you stick to the system, you will always be able to measure the improvements. So for the next couple of weeks, the videos that I'll release will be focused strictly on helping people get to 100 unbroken burpees. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully these videos catch on and they help a lot of guys get there, because once you get the system, then you can do no wrong. I mean, to use an analogy, if someone asked me to fix a washing machine, I would just take it apart and just throw anything together, but I don't know if it's going to work because I don't have a system. I've never done it before. But if I knew what I was doing and I had that system at hand, then I would get the desired result. And that's what we're looking for in this whole game, is the desired result. How do we get there? So, as I've already stated, 100 unbroken burpees is the goal at this point. The first video was released last night. 5 sets of 20 burpees, 30 seconds recovery between sets. You take that information on board, and then you start to tinker with those recovery periods, and then try and bridge the gap so that those burpees become unbroken over time. And hopefully you guys can achieve your burpee milestones. Anyway, listen, once again, just getting information out there, just trying to help people. I think that a lot of us guys have now got that platform to help people, as opposed to just showcasing our burpee talents. And it's a case of just spreading the word. The burpee community is getting bigger every week, it's getting bigger every month. And we guys have got that honour of having that platform to help people, because pay it forward. That's the burpee motto. Anyway, listen, I'm rambling again. Anyway, hopefully this has been a wee bit of a help for you burpee guys out there. Hopefully you take this advice on board and someone manages to extract some golden nuggets from it, apply it to their own training, and then just take it to the next level, man. Anyway, listen, thanks for staying strong, thanks for staying conditioned.